thank you all for being here today. A short time ago, the OSBI County District Attorney's Office filed first-degree murder charges related to the deaths of 13-year-old Taylor Placker and 11-year-old Skylar Whitaker. On June 8, 2008, these two young, precious girls were shot multiple times on the side of a dirt road in rural OSBI County near Weleetka. The OSBI County Sheriff's Office responded to the scene and called the OSBI for investigative assistance in this horrific and evil crime. Over the past 3.5 years, the OSBI staff has conducted nearly 650 interviews. We ran over 900 leads in this case, have performed 19,000 forensic tests on 800 pieces of evidence collected during the course of this investigation. This investigation took us to locations throughout Oklahoma, and it took us to points outside of our state. It's very important to note at this time that the OSBI did not conduct this case by ourselves. We had the assistance and the help from numerous law enforcement agencies. These agencies include the OSBI County Sheriff's Office, the Okmulgee County Sheriff's Office, police departments in Weleetka, Okemah, Henrietta, and Okmulgee, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, several narcotics task forces, the FBI, the ATF, and the U.S. Marshals Service. I want to publicly thank all of these agencies for the invaluable services that they have provided and performed to help solve this case. I also want to add the fact that OSBI County District Attorney Max Cook and his staff have been extremely helpful and of great assistance as we have proceeded through the course of this investigation. It's also important to note that this case is not closed for the OSBI. Agents will continue to work for many months as we now prepare to present this case in a court of law. We continue to ask for the public's help in finding the .40 caliber Glock Model 22 that we know was used in these murders. The serial number of that gun is EKG 463US, and the OSBI is still offering up to a $5,000 reward for that gun. The subject being charged for this murder is 25-year-old Kevin Sweat of Henrietta, Oklahoma. Also today, we're releasing a booking photograph of Mr. Sweat. It was taken several months ago when he was arrested for the murder of Ashley Taylor, his girlfriend. We also are releasing a second photo of Mr. Sweat taken around the time that the murders occurred in 2008 near Weleetka. We hope that by releasing that photo, it will spark someone's memory of seeing Mr. Sweat around the scene of the murder, which will help us establish the timeline surrounding that crime. As previously mentioned, Mr. Sweat was arrested and charged with the murder of his girlfriend this summer. In that case, the OSBI was also requested by the Okmulgee Police Department to assist in that investigation. It was during the course of that investigation that information helped us understand and realize that Mr. Sweat may have been involved in the murders of Taylor Placker and Skylar Whitaker. Over the next several months, OSBI and other investigators worked diligently as they followed promising leads and as they also discovered evidence that was collected, it was tested, and analyzed. This evidence includes shell casings that underwent ballistics testing by the OSBI Firearms Unit. These promising leads followed a tedious and methodical pace, knowing full well that Mr. Sweat was already behind bars and being held without bond. And now today, because of this work, we have the evidence to prove Mr. Sweat killed Taylor and Skylar. We want to take a moment and express our special appreciation to the families of Taylor and Skylar. They have endured a terrible ordeal while exercising unbelievable patience as we have worked tirelessly over these past 3.5 years. Their support to law enforcement during this time is appreciated and it should be commended. Over the past 3.5 years, this was a high-profile case, primarily because of the nature of the crime and the age and innocence of the victims. This was an unprecedented case for the OSBI and other investigators because of the number of leads to be followed and the amount of evidence that was collected and eventually tested in our laboratory. I recognize that there are other unsolved cases throughout our state that investigators work on every single day. To the families of those victims, please know that every case is a priority for us, and be assured that the OSBI will continue to work thoroughly on these cases as well. As with this case, we will never give up. And hopefully one day, like this day, you will have the experience that the families of Taylor and Skyla are having, finally able to experience the first step toward justice for their loved ones. As this case now moves into a different direction, into the phase of prosecution, additional information related to this case and specific to the investigation will not be released, but it will be reserved for purposes of prosecution. As we close, there may be additional questions you have, but at this time, I want to ask Mr. Max Cook, Weleetka County District Attorney, to come forward and make a few comments.
Thank you, Director. First of all, I want to thank the OSBI and all the other agencies for all the work they've done in this case, specifically the case agent, Kurt Titsworth, because he has been tenacious. We were always hopeful that we would come to this point where charges were filed, although at times we had our doubts. We feel as if we are in appropriate position to go forward with this case. I will also tell you that on this day I've also filed, along with the charges, a bill of particulars in each case. A bill of particulars is the document that we file when we are going to ask a jury to assess the death penalty, and that is in both cases involving Mr. Sweat. Further, I don't believe it'd be appropriate for me to say other than what Director Florence said about the case continuing. I would urge anyone that knows anything about this case, whether they think it's important or not, to contact either my office or the OSBI and let us know about it. Anything can help in these types of cases. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
We'll take just a few questions if you have any.
Have you spoken with the families? Their reaction?
Their reaction is they're relieved, but they also know that it's still not over.
Did the name Kevin Sweat come up in connection with this case before the death of
Mr. Sweat's name did come up, but only in the context of many other names that came up. There was no information before the death of Ashley Taylor that led us to believe that he was directly involved.
Was he interviewed before the death of Ashley?
He was interviewed along with many others in relationship to the fact that he had in his possession a .40 caliber Glock.
Was that Glock ever looked at? Please talk to the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're still looking for that Glock. We still have not located that Glock.
Could the death of Ashley Taylor have been prevented?
We did not have the information before the death of Ashley Taylor that would have led us to have prevented that death, no.
Was somebody possibly protecting Kevin Sweat this whole time? May somebody else have been involved and known information?
We don't have any information to that effect right now.
It was mentioned at one point.
I'm sorry, say again. We're still working on establishing that motive. We don't believe he knew them directly. And you'll get a copy of the probable cause affidavit in a few minutes. You'll notice in there that information specific to Mr. Sweat began to evolve in late August. It was good information, but still was not sufficient. It took several months to continue to work on that and confirm that evidence and that information.
I know that he's behind bars, but where is he now?
He is being held in the Seminole County Jail.
Before the death of Ashley, why was Kevin Sweat brought up in connection with this case?
In the respect that he and as many others had in their possession, we believe at the time of the murders, a .40 caliber Glock, and all along we've clearly stated we were looking for a .40 caliber Glock.
Are there other suspects that you're looking at? There are additional 2 guns, I believe, in the report. Investigators thought were used. Is that still the case?
At this time, we're not looking for any further suspects.
Was everybody with a .40 caliber Glock in that area interviewed? Is it possible?
I believe that's correct. Many people were interviewed in relationship to having the possession of a .40 caliber Glock. Yes, we believe the gun that we're looking for was his gun and in his possession at the time of the murders. I don't follow your question. Mm-hmm. It was through that process that we learned that he had a gun. Yes. He has made a statement, and again, that information that he made, or the information he made in that statement, will be provided in the probable cause affidavit.
What put him at the scene? Was it completely random, or did he have business in that area?
We just believe he happened to be in the area that day. I'm sorry? It's our belief at this time, yes. No, not at this time.
How was Sweat dismissed as having involvement in the case before Ashley's death?
There just wasn't the information and the evidence at that time that would link him to the case. Not until after Ashley Taylor's death. Yes. All right, thank you very much for coming.